Hey guys, this is Sumner Healey from landinvestor.co. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new here, I make these videos to document my land investing journey and hopefully help others along the way. For context, in the last 18 months, we've done a little over $2.2 million in raw land sales, all on the internet. Now, the way I approach land investing is really in the mindset of building a business. I think there's a lot of folks that get into this world and they treat it like a side hustle, they treat it like a hobby. And that's great. If you're looking to make supplemental income, fantastic. It's certainly something that you can do. But really the content that we build on this channel and what we preach within our programs is building a truly sustainable business. And in order to build a truly sustainable business, there's just no way around it. You need people, you need human capital, and there's certain people that you need to hire within your business to kind of take you out of the minutia of the day-to-day and ultimately have you working on higher value tasks. The way I like to look at it is every single task within our business and with our life has an output. And I look at that output in terms of dollars, right? So drafting a contract might have a $10 output. We're doing market research and trying to figure out where we should be sending our mailing campaigns could have, a $10,000 output or much, much higher than that. And so really what we want to do when you're first starting out is get you out of those low value tasks as quickly as possible. Now I need to preface, this is strictly speaking from my experience. I'm sure people have done this in a multitude of different ways, but through building my 7-figure land business, this is what I've learned from working with students. This is what I've taught them. This is what they've implemented. And this is what I've seen work time and time again. Now, when you're first starting out, what we recommend hiring for your very first role is what we call the integrator VA. And this is going to be someone that's overseas. It could be Philippines or South America, Central America. It could truly be anywhere around the globe. You really want to be finding a place where there's an arbitrage though, right? Where you could pay someone to do a $5 or $7 an hour task in their country. It could truly be anywhere around the globe. Really what we're looking for here is where there's some arbitrage, some disparity in terms of what we actually have to pay to get these tasks done. Could we hire this here in the US for $20 an hour? Probably. But could we go find someone overseas for $5, $7, $10 an hour? Absolutely. There's an abundance of folks out there that would be grateful for this work. And what I found in a lot of cases, they'll end up actually doing a better job than a lot of folks you can hire here in the US, especially for more of these menial, repetitive type tasks that you have within your land investing business. Now, if you've been in this business for any length of time, or if you're just getting started, one of the things that you'll quickly figure out is there's a ton of just small, little annoying tasks. Call it document drafting, listing properties, scheduling with photographers, scheduling with title companies, updating your KPIs, on and on and on. There's just these little things that need to be done. And when you're first starting out, sure, you might be doing those for a few weeks or a few months, but you quickly want to remove yourself from those day-to-day operations. And I found that you can do that for about $600 to $800 a month. You can have someone working full-time, and they can really be a generalist, right? You're going to have to provide bespoke training for them because truthfully, no one's going to come into this world and have a ton of previous context because there's not a lot of freelancers that have worked in the land investing space previously. So you are definitely need to provide really hands-on training on how to do these things within your business, whether it's listing the properties on Facebook or whether it's communicating with buyer leads or it's drafting contracts. Whatever the case may be, you will certainly need to train for it. But this role, you can have them have their hands in a ton of different buckets within your business. They can be a generalist. And one of the beautiful things about this role is you can actually groom them to move up down the line. And we'll talk about that here towards the end of this video. Now, typically what we see in terms of hourly rates for this role is anywhere between $4 an hour on the absolute low end, all the way up to about $8 an hour. That's typically closer to what we pay our generalist VAs. Anywhere between $7 to $8 an hour is pretty typical. What I found is it's definitely a world where you truly do get what you paid for. You can find folks that will do this work for $2 an hour. I've gone that route. Typically, there's going to be huge language barriers. There's not going to be a ton of previous experience that they have really with any freelancing. And so I do find that you do get what you pay for. Now, if you go through a VA placement agency or something along those lines, they will charge a premium, which I think is way, way, way too high. You should not be paying someone in this role anywhere over $10 an hour. So try to stick within that range, anywhere from $4 to $8 an hour. The beautiful thing about this role is depending on where you're at in your business, you can have them part-time. That could be 15, 20, 25 hours a week. And then you can quickly ratchet them full-time once the workload grows. If you're only doing a few deals per month, it might make more sense to keep them on that part-time status, and then you can allow them to kind of rise up through the ranks and then give them access to working full-time once you've got a little more workload and once they've got a little more familiarity with the process. Now the next role that we're going to hire is what we call an inside sales agent. And this is a role, it's a bit of a hybrid role. This is a hybrid between an acquisitions and a dispositions manager. Really the difference here is that we're going to assume that you're working on a tighter budget. If you've got more budget, really what you want to do is actually split those roles. You want it to be just a strictly acquisitions manager and strictly a dispositions manager. While there is carryover between what they're doing, and yes, they are on the phones essentially all day long, really we look at those as two different verticals within our business. But if you're starting out, you don't have a ton of deal flow, there's not a ton of workload, and if you don't have a ton of capital that you can put out in terms of payroll on a monthly basis, you can have this as a hybrid role. And one of the beautiful things about keeping it as a hybrid role is that they will gain a ton of familiarity with the properties on the acquisition side, and then when you go to sell them, because they become intimately familiar with that property, they'll have a ton of insight to pass off to new potential buyers because they've been looking and reviewing that property potentially for weeks before it actually gets closed and is ready to be listed. Really the role here is they're going to be working the acquisition, so it's going to be the follow-ups, that's going to be getting them on the phone, that's going to be working through negotiations, and once the property closes, they're going to be doing the same thing but with potential buyers, right? Following up through text and through email, and then getting them on the phone, answering any questions, on and on and on and on. Now once you start scaling up, you're doing 10, 15, 20 deals per month, I would advise splitting this role, and at that point you should have enough income to allow yourself to hire both an acquisitions manager and a dispositions manager. Now if you don't want to have a hybrid role and you're looking just to hire one of those roles, I would say the acquisitions manager is going to be who you want to hire first. Really, they're going to drive a lot of the revenue for your business. And so you want someone to be full-time working with sellers, negotiating, getting deals done on your behalf. I think that's where you can unlock the most value in your business. And then eventually you can hire a dispositions manager if you don't want to go that hybrid route. Now, once you've grown and you've split up this role between an acquisitions and a dispositions manager, the next role that I would hire is what we call a sales VA. What we've learned is that if you're working with a dispositions manager, really the highest and best use of their time is just being on the phone with buyers or really potential buyers in this case. And it's very easy for them to get caught up in sending emails, sending texts, trying to schedule calls. And then what can happen is they might only be having 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour of talk time on the phones per day because they're spending so much time just trying to get that lead prepped to get on a call. It's not something we want in our business. What we want is to see anywhere between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours of talk time every single day. The only way we can really hit that metric though is by having a VA that sits underneath them that is working all of the text and email follow-ups as well as getting them prepped to be scheduled to get on a call. Now this is a very junior role because in a lot of cases they're going to be using very scripted dialogue to be sent via text and email. So here you can pay anywhere between $4 to maybe $6 an hour. And this is pretty much always going to be an overseas role where the acquisitions manager, dispositions manager, or that hybrid role with the inside sales agent, that can both be US based or that can be overseas as well. And actually in our business, we predominantly use overseas labor. What we found is that there is much more of a learning curve. You have to do a lot of work on the front end to train them, but once they're actually integrated into your business, what we found in a lot of cases is they're just superior workers than what you'd find here in the US, especially with all the craziness that we have going on with labor shortages. We found that it's actually a lot easier for us to spend time on the front end training, getting them groomed for the position. We'll save a little bit in terms of cost, but that's not really our biggest concern. It's really the fact that we actually find them to be really talented at a lot of this work. Now, the fourth role that we'd be looking to hire here is a marketing coordinator. By now, you've removed a lot of the day-to-day activities from your plate. Probably the one thing that you still have on your plate though is going through and drafting listings, working on listings, potentially doing some general due diligence on properties. So what you want to do at this point is find someone that has a bit of a hybrid role where they can do a bit of due diligence in terms of finding utilities for the property, just getting some general information about the lot, and then they should have some copywriting experience as well. You want to blend that analytical due diligence with copywriting. So you want them to have some creative copywriting where they can make really nice listings. They can also do some fact finding to put in the listing about the property. And then ultimately you'd have your marketing coordinator actually doing all of the listing and the postings for your properties. Now, to justify having a marketing coordinator on your team full time, you got to be doing a ton of deals. I'd say anywhere north of 15 deals per month would be justifiable. For us, we'd be looking at having someone that's just working part-time. If you're underneath that 15 deal mark, that would make a little more sense. So they're gonna be more of a contractor than like a full-time employee. Now, what we've done in our business is we've taken that initial integrator VA, they've been with us for years, and really at this point, they're almost like a COO within our business. They manage a lot of the day-to-day operations, and as you scale, as you grow, as you have more team members, as you're doing more volume with deals, there's just a lot of little nuisances that come up that will really distract you from working on your business. You'll end up just working in the trenches, working in the business day in and day out. But that COO role is a really tough role to hire for because, again, not a ton of people are going to have any relevant experience coming into this business where they could bring a ton of value. The other thing is that it's a very costly role to hire for, right? You're usually looking at a salary well north of 6 figures. So what we've done is just groomed internally, taking that integrator VA that's been with us for years, and then we've let them rise up the ranks. They make a really great income. They're still way below that COO salary level that you might find as standard here in the US, but they operate much like a COO would in the day-to-day of the business. So these are the 4 roles that we would hire for if you're just starting out. Again, you could make some subtle tweaks here, and one of the things that you need to figure out is, do you want to go US based or do you want to go overseas? Truthfully, I think there's merits to both. I'm not jaded one way or the other. I will say for a lot of the junior and entry-level type tasks, I would definitely recommend pushing those overseas. And if you want someone that's doing the acquisitions, dispositions, any of the actual phone work, you may want to think about hiring here in the US. But again, it is an option to hire overseas, and that's exactly what we've done within our business. Hey guys, I hope this video has been helpful for you. It's my goal here to share content which I feel like no one's sharing, right? There's a ton of land investing content out there, but there's not much out there in terms of building a land investing business, which is really what I'm passionate about. So if you like these videos, please give it a thumbs up. I would love to see it if you subscribe. We've got a ton more content in the pipeline, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.